The massive ship moved through space like a metal mountain. Inside its dark halls, Commander Thekvar walked toward the meeting room. His forearms carried data tablets, while his scaled skin reflected the cold blue lights. Today would be easy. Today they would plan the conquest of a small blue planet called Earth. The meeting room filled with officers from across the Vorthak Empire. Admiral Zekmoth sat at the head of the long table, his red eyes glowing in the dim light. Captain Yultaran entered last, his battle scars telling stories of 100 victories across the galaxy. "Begin the briefing," Admiral Zekmoth said, his voice deep and commanding. Commander Thekvar activated the holographic display. A blue and green planet appeared in the center of the room, slowly rotating. "This is Earth," he said. "Third planet. From a yellow star. The inhabitants call themselves humans." The other officers leaned forward to study the image. Earth looked peaceful. White clouds swirled over blue oceans. Green and brown continents dotted the surface. "What weapons do they have?" asked Captain Yultaran. Thekvar touched his tablet. New images filled the air. Human soldiers appeared, carrying simple metal weapons. The aliens watched humans fire. Small projectiles from crude guns. Explosions bloomed from primitive bombs. "They use kinetic weapons," Thekvar explained. "Metal bullets fired by chemical reactions. Their largest weapons are basic missiles with explosive warheads. No energy shields, no plasma cannons, no quantum disruption fields." Admiral Zekmoth laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "Kinetic weapons? How ancient." "Their technology is at least 500 years behind our own," Thekvar continued. "Their ships cannot leave their solar system. Their fastest aircraft move slower than our transport vessels." More images appeared. Human cities sprawled across the continents. Tall buildings reached toward the sky, but they looked fragile compared to Vorthak architecture. Roads carried small vehicles that burned fossil fuels. "Look at their defenses," Thekvar said. The display showed military bases scattered around. Earth. Small groups of humans trained with their primitive weapons. Vehicles rolled across training grounds. Aircraft performed simple maneuvers in the sky. "No planetary shields," observed one officer. "No orbital defense platforms," noted another. "Their military forces are spread thin across the planet," Thekvar added. "They seem more interested in fighting each other than preparing for external threats." New footage showed human conflicts. Soldiers from different nations faced each other across battle lines. Explosions marked the landscape. Cities burned while humans fought with their crude weapons. "They waste resources on internal wars," Admiral Zekmoth said with disgust. "Typical of primitive species, they cannot unite against a common threat." Captain Yultaran studied the images carefully. Something felt wrong, but he could not identify what bothered him. The humans looked, too, relaxed. Even in their conflicts, they seemed to hold back. Their weapons appeared almost ceremonial, as if they were not trying their hardest. "How many ships will we need?" asked Admiral Zekmoth. 3 attack squadrons. Should be sufficient," Thekvar replied. "Perhaps 2. Their defensive capabilities are minimal. A show of force should convince them to surrender immediately. And if they refuse, a single orbital bombardment will destroy their largest cities. The rest will surrender quickly." The officers around the table nodded in agreement. This would be the easiest conquest in recent memory. Some worlds fought for months or years. Earth would fall in days, maybe hours. Captain Yultaran remained quiet. His experience told him to be careful. In his long career, he had learned that easy battles often became the hardest ones. But the evidence seemed clear. Earth had no real defenses. Its people fought with weapons that belonged in a museum. "Any questions?" Admiral Zekmoth asked. "Sir," Yultaran said slowly, "should we send more reconnaissance probes? These humans might have hidden capabilities." Thekvar shook his head. "We have observed them for 6 months. Our probes have recorded everything. There are no hidden bases, no secret weapons, no advanced technology. What you see is what they have. The Galactic Council will approve this action, another officer asked. The Council sees Earth as we do, Admiral Zekmoth replied. A primitive world with useful resources. The humans will become a client species. Their planet will join the Empire. The meeting continued for another hour. Officers discussed troop deployments, supply lines, and occupation procedures. Everything pointed to a simple campaign against a backward world. Deep beneath Sol, Dr. Keogh sat in a reinforced bunker watching alien signals on his monitors. The underground facility stretched for kilometers in all directions. Hundreds of scientists and military officers worked at glowing screens. They are planning their attack, Dr. Keogh said to General Park, who stood beside him. Good, General Park replied. The deception is working perfectly. Colonel Nam approached from across the command center. All lunar installations report ready. Status. The fleet is in position on the far side of the moon. Dr. Keogh smiled as he translated more alien communications. They think we are primitives. They believe our weapons are crude and our defenses are weak. 50 years of careful planning, General Park said quietly. Every probe they sent saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Every transmission they intercepted carried the information we chose to share. On the screens around them, technicians monitored fake military bases across Earth. The aliens had been watching these installations for months, never knowing they were elaborate theater. Real human defenses remained hidden deep underground and in carefully camouflaged positions. When will they arrive? Colonel Nam asked. Tomorrow, Dr. Keogh replied, reading the alien fleet movements. They expect this to be easy. General Park nodded grimly. Then tomorrow they learn the truth about Earth. Above them, in the real world, life continued normally. People went to work, children played in parks, and traffic moved through busy streets. No one seemed worried about the alien fleet approaching their world. But beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, Earth prepared to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The Vorthak ships moved closer through the darkness of space, their crews confident and relaxed. Soon they would discover that Earth's reputation as a defenseless world was the most dangerous lie ever told. The Vorthak fleet broke through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Admiral Zekmoth stood on his command bridge, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. Everything looked exactly as the reconnaissance reports had described. Peaceful cities, scattered military bases, and no sign of serious defenses. Open communication channels, the Admiral ordered. Commander Thekvar worked at his control station. Channels open, sir. Broadcasting on all human frequencies. Admiral. Zekmoth stepped forward, his red eyes glowing with confidence. People of Earth, I am Admiral Zekmoth of the Vorthak Empire. Your world is now under our protection. Surrender immediately, and you will be treated well. Resist, and your cities will burn. The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response. Seconds passed. Then minutes. No reply came from the planet below. Perhaps their technology cannot receive our transmissions, suggested one officer. Or they are too frightened to answer, laughed another. Captain Yultaran watched his tactical displays with growing unease. Something felt wrong about the silence. In his experience, primitive worlds either surrendered immediately or responded with angry threats. This quiet waiting made him nervous. Sir, Yultaran said carefully, perhaps we should wait longer. Give them time to understand our message. Admiral Zekmoth shook his head. We have given them enough time. Prepare a demonstration strike. Target that military installation below. Something small to show them our power. The tactical officer selected a target on the surface. A human military base appeared on the screen, complete with vehicles, buildings, and soldiers moving around the grounds. Weapons locked, the officer reported. Fire! Admiral Zekmoth commanded. Energy beams lanced down from the Vorthak ships toward the Earth below. The beams struck the military base, creating bright explosions that bloomed like flowers of fire. 4. A moment, nothing happened. Then everything changed. Across Earth's surface, structures that had looked like communication towers suddenly moved. They rotated upward, revealing themselves as massive weapons. Hidden panels slid open on innocent-looking buildings, exposing missile batteries that had been waiting in silence. "Sir!" the tactical officer shouted. "I'm reading weapons lock from the surface!" Before Admiral Zekmoth could respond, the Earth struck back. Railgun projectiles screamed upward at incredible speed. Missiles launched from concealed positions across multiple continents. The sky filled with defensive fire that moved faster and hit harder than anything in the Vorthak databases. The first Vorthak ship exploded in a ball of flame and metal, then the second. The primitive humans were firing back with weapons that matched or exceeded their own technology. "Shields up!" Admiral Zekmoth screamed. But it was too late for many of his ships. Captain Yul Terran watched his squadron display, with horror. Half his ships had vanished in the first wave of human counterattack. The weapons that had seemed so crude from orbit were devastating up close. "How is this possible?" Commander Thekvar shouted over the alarm sirens. Human aircraft rose from hidden air bases, but these were not the slow, primitive machines they had observed. These craft moved with impossible speed and agility, performing maneuvers that should have killed their pilots. Their weapons hit with surgical precision, finding weak points in Vorthak armor that should have been unknown to human technology. In the Sol command bunker, Engineer Hana worked at her control station with calm efficiency. Around her, dozens of operators managed the defensive response that had been planned for decades. "Phase 2 weapons coming online," she reported to General Park. "Excellent," the general replied. "Lieutenant Bin, coordinate with all global defense stations. I want a unified response." Lieutenant Bin spoke rapidly into his headset, connecting underground command centers across the planet. In North America, European officials watched their own hidden weapons activate. African installations came online while Asian defense grids coordinated their fire. Dr. Kyo monitored alien communications, his earpiece translating their panicked voices. "They are confused and frightened," he reported. "Their admiral is ordering a retreat to higher orbit." "Not yet," General Park said firmly. "Let them get a little higher first." On his tactical display, red dots showed the surviving alien ships climbing away from Earth's surface. They thought they were escaping to safety, but they were actually moving into the next phase of the human defense plan. Captain Yultaran managed to keep his ship intact as they climbed toward what he hoped was a safe distance. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically to understand what had gone wrong. "Analysis report," he demanded. "Sir, the humans appear to have weapons technology equal to our own," his science officer reported with disbelief. "They're projectile. Weapons use electromagnetic acceleration far beyond what our probes detected. Their aircraft show impossible performance characteristics." "That's not possible," Commander Thekvar insisted from the main command ship. "Our reconnaissance was thorough. We watched them for months." "Sir," the tactical officer interrupted, "the human aircraft are pursuing us into the upper atmosphere." On the screen, sleek human fighters followed the retreating Vorthak ships. These craft should not have been able to operate in such thin air, yet they moved with perfect control. Their weapons continued to find targets among the fleeing alien vessels. Admiral Zekmoth stared at his tactical display in growing horror. What should have been a simple conquest had become a military disaster. His fleet was being destroyed by creatures he had dismissed as primitives. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked quietly. 60% of the attack force," came the grim reply. "And human casualties?" "Unknown, sir. The installation we targeted appears to have been evacuated before our strike." Deep in the Earth's crust, scientist Lee monitored the battle from his hidden laboratory. Around him, weapons that had never seen daylight waited for their turn to emerge. Technologies that pushed the boundaries of known physics hummed with contained power. "The surface batteries are performing perfectly," he reported to military strategist. 1. "Good. one replied, studying his tactical displays. Phase 3 will begin once they reach the designated altitude. The two men had spent decades designing this moment. Every human weapon, every defensive position, every tactical response had been carefully planned to counter the specific technologies used by the galaxy's major powers. Earth's apparent weakness had been the most successful military deception in history. Above them, the surviving Vorthak ships continued their retreat toward what they believed was safety. They had no idea that Earth's real defenses had not yet revealed themselves. Admiral Zekmoth tried to make sense of what had happened. His supposedly easy conquest had become a nightmare. The humans had turned his own tactics against him, using his expectations to create a perfect trap. "Sir," Captain Yultaran reported, "we have reached minimum safe distance from the planet." "Hold. Position," the Admiral ordered. "We need to understand what we're facing before we proceed." But even as he spoke, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Large objects were moving around Earth's moon, objects that had not been there during their approach. The humans were not finished with them yet. Admiral Zekmoth stared at his tactical displays with growing dread. His fleet hung in space above Earth, wounded and confused. More than half his ships were gone, destroyed by weapons that should not have existed. The humans had turned his easy conquest into a disaster. "Status report," he demanded, his voice strained. Commander Thekvar worked frantically at his station. "Remaining forces are regrouping at safe distance from the planet. We have lost 68 ships with full crews." "How?" Admiral Zekmoth slammed his fist against his command chair. "How did our intelligence fail so completely?" "Sir," the science officer interrupted, "I'm detecting unusual activity around Earth's moon." The main screen shifted to show Earth's natural satellite. For months, their probes had scanned the moon and found nothing but rock and dust. Ancient craters marked its surface. No signs of technology or life had appeared in any of their surveys. Now the moon was coming alive. Massive sections of what they had thought were natural crater walls began to move. Hidden doors opened across the lunar surface, revealing structures that had been perfectly camouflaged. What the aliens had taken for random rock formations were actually concealed hangars and weapon platforms. "That's impossible," Commander Thekvar whispered. Ships began emerging from the lunar installations, but these were not the primitive craft they had seen in Earth's atmosphere. These vessels dwarfed even the largest Vorthak battleships. Their sleek hulls reflected no light, making them appear like moving holes in space itself. Captain Yultaran watched the display with the sick recognition of a veteran warrior who had walked into a perfect trap. "Admiral, we need to retreat immediately." "To where?" Admiral Zekmoth replied bitterly. "They've been planning this for years, maybe decades." More human ships emerged from the moon. Each one looked capable of destroying an entire Vorthak squadron. Weapon systems, unlike anything in their databases, powered up along the hulls. Energy readings showed technology that exceeded their understanding of physics. In the Lunar Command Center, buried deep beneath the moon's surface, Colonel Nam coordinated the emergence of humanity's true fleet. Around him, officers who had trained their entire careers for this moment worked with quiet efficiency. "All squadrons report ready status," his communications officer announced. "Good," Colonel Nam replied. "General Park wants them to understand what they're really facing." The underground complex stretched for hundreds of kilometers through the moon's interior. Factories that had operated in secret for 50 years had built the ships now emerging into space. Technologies developed in hidden laboratories powered weapons that could reshape the battlefield. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the alien fleet is attempting to withdraw." "Not yet," Colonel Nam said calmly. "Let them see what we've built." First, on the main screen, human ships took positions around the battered Vorthak fleet. The aliens found themselves surrounded by vessels that made their own ships look like children's toys. Weapon systems that operated on principles they could not understand tracked their every movement. Back on Earth, General Park watched the deployment from his underground command center. Dr. Keogh sat beside him, still monitoring alien communications. "What are they saying?" General Park asked. "They're terrified," Dr. Keogh replied, listening to the panicked voices in his earpiece. "Their admiral is trying to understand how we hid all this from their surveillance." 50 years of careful planning, General Park said quietly. "Every probe they sent saw exactly what we wanted them to see." Commander Tay approached from across the command center. "Sir, the lunar fleet is in position. Shall we proceed with capture operations?" "Begin Phase 4, General Park ordered. In space above Earth, Captain Yultarin realized that his situation had become hopeless. The human ships surrounding them moved with precision that spoke of advanced technology and superior training. Their crews had clearly prepared for this exact scenario. "Sir," his weapons officer reported, "they're jamming our communications. We cannot contact the Empire." "They're also jamming our jump drives," added the engineer. "We cannot escape to hyperspace." Admiral Zekmoth closed his eyes. In his long career, he had conquered dozens of worlds. He had seen primitive species try to resist with crude weapons and desperate courage. But this was different. The humans had not resisted. They had set a trap. "How long have they been watching us?" he asked quietly. "Unknown, sir. But they knew exactly what weapons we would bring. Their defenses were designed specifically to counter our technology." A new voice came through their speakers, speaking in perfect Vorthak. "Admiral Zekmoth, this is Commander Tay of the Human Defense Force. You will surrender your ships immediately." The Admiral looked around his bridge at the faces of his surviving crew. They were brave warriors who had followed him across the galaxy. But they had never faced anything like this. "If we refuse," Admiral Zekmoth asked. "Then your ships will be destroyed," Commander Tay replied matter-of-factly. "You have 30 seconds to decide." Dr. Keogh worked with researcher Young in their hidden laboratory, analyzing data streams from the captured alien signals. Around them, screens showed technical information about Vorthak ships, weapons, and technology. "They're more advanced than we expected in some areas," Dr. Keogh observed, "but they rely too heavily on energy shields and plasma weapons. Our kinetic weapons cut through their defenses like they weren't there," researcher Young agreed. "They've never faced an enemy that uses physical projectiles at these velocities." "What about their fleet in orbit?" "Completely neutralized. Our lunar squadrons have them surrounded. They can't escape and they can't fight back effectively." The two scientists had spent years preparing for this moment. Every aspect of human technology had been designed to counter the specific advantages that galactic civilizations relied upon. Energy shields were useless against solid projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. Plasma weapons could not track targets that moved with human agility and unpredictability. In space, Admiral Zekmoth made his decision. "All ships, stand down weapons and prepare to surrender." The human vessels moved closer, their massive hulls blocking out the stars. Boarding tubes extended from the sleek ships, connecting to Vorthak airlocks with mechanical precision. "Sir," Commander Thekvar said quietly, "how did we get this so wrong?" Admiral Zekmoth watched human soldiers enter his ship through the main airlock. They moved with confidence and efficiency, their weapons ready but not threatening. These were not desperate primitives fighting for survival. These were professional military personnel executing a carefully planned operation. "We didn't get it wrong," the Admiral replied. "They made us see exactly what they wanted us to see." The human soldiers were led by a woman who removed her helmet to reveal an Asian face with calm, intelligent eyes. She spoke in flawless Vorthak as she approached the bridge. "I am Commander Tay. Your ships are now under human control. You and your crews will be treated according to standard military conventions." "Standard?" Admiral Zekmoth asked. You have military conventions for alien prisoners? Commander Tay smiled slightly. Admiral, we've been preparing for galactic contact for a very long time. We know more about your civilizations than you might think. As human teams took control of the alien ships, the survivors of the Vorthak fleet began to understand the true scope of what had happened. This had not been a failed conquest. This had been humanity's introduction to the galaxy, and they had chosen to make that introduction from a position of overwhelming strength. Deep inside a captured Vorthak ship, Dr. Keo sat across from Commander Thekvar in what had once been the aliens' private quarters. The room had been modified for human use, but strange alien furniture still lined the walls. Intelligence officer. Jin stood nearby, recording everything. Tell me about the probes, Dr. Keo said calmly in perfect Vorthak. Commander Thekvar's 4 arms were restrained, but his red eyes still burned with anger and confusion. You speak our language perfectly. How long have you been studying us? 53 years, Dr. Keo replied. Since your people first sent reconnaissance drones into our solar system, we detected every single one. Impossible. Our stealth technology is the most advanced in the galaxy. Dr. Keo smiled and activated a small holographic projector. Images filled the air between them, showing Vorthak probes moving through space near Earth. But these images also showed human vessels shadowing them, invisible to alien sensors. Your stealth technology works well against other galactic civilizations, Dr. Kyo explained, but we developed our sensors specifically to detect your ships. We've been watching you watch us for decades. Thekvar stared at the images with growing horror. Every probe mission he had planned, every surveillance operation he had authorized, had been known to the humans from the beginning. The intelligence reports, he whispered. Everything we observed was carefully staged for your benefit, Intelligence Officer Jin added. Every military exercise you recorded, every weapon test you observed, every conflict between human nations, all of it was theater designed to convince you that we were primitive and divided. Dr. Keo touched the projector again. New images appeared, showing human military bases that looked exactly like the ones in Vorthak intelligence files. But then the images changed, revealing the same locations with their camouflage removed. Underground installations stretched deep into the Earth. Weapon systems far more advanced than anything the aliens had seen powered up from hidden positions. Even, our wars were partially fake, Dr. Keo continued. We've had global cooperation for military planning since we first detected your presence. But we made sure your probes saw us fighting each other with primitive weapons. Commander Thekvar slumped in his restraints. The Galactic Council believed your species was harmless. We thought you would be grateful to join our civilization. Join as servants, Jin corrected. We read your databases, Commander. We know how the Vorthak Empire treats client species. In another part of the captured ship, Captain Yul Taran sat with Director Su in what had been the vessel's main briefing room. The human woman had arrived with technical teams who were analyzing every system on the ship. Your technology is impressive, Captain Yul Taran admitted reluctantly. But I don't understand how you advanced so quickly. 50 years ago, you were barely capable of spaceflight. Director Su activated her own holographic display. We weren't advancing quickly, Captain. We were advancing secretly. The display showed images of human industrial facilities hidden deep underground and in remote locations. Massive manufacturing complexes that had operated for decades without being detected by alien surveillance. While your probes watched our surface activities, we built our real civilization underground, Director Su explained. Every major city on Earth has multiple levels extending kilometers down. Our true population is actually much larger than your estimates. How many people do you really have? Classified? Director Su replied with a slight smile. But more than enough to defend ourselves. Captain Yul Taran studied the images of underground cities and hidden factories. Why go to such lengths? Why not simply announce your capabilities to the galaxy? Because we learned from watching you, Director Sue said. We observed how your empire treats worlds that resist. We saw what happens to species that fight back against galactic powers. We decided that if we had to fight, we would do it from a position of overwhelming advantage. Weapons designer Jay entered the room carrying a small device that hummed with contained energy. Director, the analysis of their weapon systems is complete. What did you find? Their technology is actually less advanced than ours in several key areas, Jay reported. They rely heavily on energy-based weapons and particle shields. They've never encountered kinetic weapons operating at the velocities we can achieve. Sign. Yultaran looked confused. Kinetic weapons are primitive. Every civilized species abandoned them millennia ago. Jay smiled and activated his device. A holographic representation of a human railgun appeared in the air. Not primitive, Captain. Evolved. We took the basic concept and pushed it to its absolute limits. The display showed technical specifications that made Captain Yultaran's eyes widen. Projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. Targeting systems that could track and hit objects across interplanetary distances. Ammunition that could penetrate any known shield technology. Your energy shields are designed to stop plasma and particle beams, Jay continued. They're useless against solid matter moving at these velocities. In Earth's deepest research facility, strategic analyst Hui briefed Dr. Kyo and several other human officials on the intelligence gathered from the captured aliens. The Galactic Council consists of 47 member species, Hui explained, pointing to a star map. The Vorthak Empire is one of the 3 major powers. They've been expanding for over 2,000 years. What about the other powers? Dr. Kyo asked. The Zelani Confederation and the Korth Unity. All 3 maintain the galactic balance through mutual deterrence and careful diplomacy. Until now, added one of the other officials. Hui nodded grimly. News of the Vorthak fleet's destruction is already spreading. Every major power in the galaxy is scrambling to understand what happened here. The star map zoomed in to show ship movements throughout the local galaxy sector. Alien fleets were repositioning. Communication networks buzzed with encrypted messages. The entire galactic political structure was reacting to Earth's sudden emergence as a military power. What are their options? Dr. Kyo asked. 3 possibilities, Hui replied. They can attempt a massive coordinated assault that might overwhelm us, but would devastate multiple civilizations. They can ignore us and hope we remain isolated. Or they can negotiate. Which do you think they'll choose? Hui smiled coldly. They'll negotiate. We've just demonstrated that the cost of attacking Earth is too high for any rational government to accept. Back on the captured Vorthak ship, Commander Thekvar had been moved to a different room for continued questioning. Dr. Kyo wanted to understand exactly how much the aliens knew about galactic civilization. Tell me about the other species, Dr. Kyo said. The ones that might want revenge for what happened here. Thekvar laughed bitterly. Revenge, Doctor. You don't understand galactic politics. Nobody will seek revenge for the Vorthak Empire. They'll be too busy trying to establish trade relationships with you. Explain. You've just demonstrated military technology that exceeds anything in known space. Every civilization in the galaxy will want access to your weapons, your ships, your defensive systems. The Galactic Council doesn't care about honor or revenge. They care about power and survival. Dr. Kyo leaned back in his chair, considering this information. Earth's emergence as a galactic power would change everything, but perhaps not in the way he had expected. What happens to your empire now? Without this fleet, the Vorthak lose significant military strength, Thekvar replied. Other powers will move to fill the vacuum. Border worlds will rebel. Our enemies will see weakness and attack. And you, personally? Commander Thekvar looked directly at Dr. Kyo with his red eyes. That depends on what your people plan to do with us. Dr. Kyo smiled slightly. Commander, you're about to become humanity's first ambassadors to the galaxy, whether you like it or not. The Galactic Council chambers had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 47 different species filled the massive hall, their voices creating a symphony of panic and confusion. News of the Vorthak fleet's complete destruction had reached every corner of known space within days. Admiral Zekmoth stood at the center of the chamber, his scaled skin pale under the harsh lights. Around him, beings of every shape and size demanded answers. How had a primitive species destroyed an entire Vorthak battle fleet? What did this mean for galactic security? "Silence!" roared the council speaker, a massive creature whose voice echoed through the hall. "Admiral Zekmoth will present his report." The hall fell quiet as hundreds of alien eyes focused on the defeated Vorthak commander. He had rehearsed this moment during his journey to the council station, but facing the reality still filled him with dread. "Honored council members, Admiral," Zekmoth began, his voice steady despite his shame. "I must report the complete failure of our mission to Earth. The humans were not the primitive species we believed them to be." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Zalani representative, a tall being with crystalline features, leaned forward. "Explain how primitives destroyed your fleet, Admiral." "They are not primitives," Admiral Zekmoth replied firmly. "That was our mistake. The humans have technology that equals or exceeds our own. Their weapon systems operate on principles we do not fully understand. Their military coordination is perfect." "Impossible," declared the Korth delegate, his metallic voice ringing with disbelief. "Our intelligence networks have monitored Earth for decades. They fight with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Everything we observed was deliberate deception," Admiral Zekmoth continued. "The humans allowed our probes to see exactly what they wanted us to see. While we watched fake military exercises on their surface, they built advanced defensive systems underground and on their moon." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some delegates accused the Admiral of incompetence. Others demanded proof of his claims. A few spoke quietly among themselves, already calculating how this news would affect their own territories. "How many ships did you lose?" asked the council speaker. "All of them," Admiral Zekmoth admitted. 74 vessels with full crews. The humans captured the survivors and our ships." "And their casualties?" Admiral Zekmoth's voice became even quieter. "Unknown. Possibly 0. The chamber fell completely silent. The idea that an unknown species could destroy an entire fleet without suffering losses was beyond their understanding. In galactic warfare, victories always came at great cost. 3. Days later, a ship unlike anything in the Council's databases approached their station. The vessel was massive, its hull so dark it seemed to absorb light. No energy signatures could be detected, yet it moved with impossible grace through space. "Incoming transmission," announced the station's communication officer. On the main screen, a human face appeared. The woman looked young by galactic standards, with dark hair and calm eyes. When she spoke, her words were translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. "Galactic Council, I am Ambassador Kai of the Human Federation. I request permission to dock and address your assembly." The council speaker, still reeling from Admiral Zekmoth's testimony, granted permission immediately. Within hours, the human ship had docked with their station. Ambassador Kai walked through the corridors, accompanied by an honor guard that moved with military precision. The council chamber had been hastily rearranged to accommodate the human delegation. Ambassador Kai took her position at the speaker's platform, while her guards remained at respectful attention around the hall's perimeter. "Honored delegates," Ambassador Kai began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "I come to you today not as a conqueror, but as a representative of humanity seeking peaceful relations with all galactic civilizations. After destroying our fleet, interrupted the Vorthak representative. After defending our world against unprovoked aggression, Ambassador Kai corrected calmly. The Vorthak Empire sent warships to demand our surrender. We simply chose not to comply. She activated a holographic projector that filled the chamber with images. Earth appeared in the center. But this was not the primitive world shown in previous intelligence reports. Advanced cities covered the continents. Massive space installations orbited the planet. Ships moved between Earth and its moon in carefully organized patterns. This is our real civilization, Ambassador Kai explained. We have been building in secret for over 50 years, preparing for the day when galactic powers would discover our world. Why hide your capabilities? Asked the Zelani representative. Because we studied your histories, Ambassador Kai replied. We observed how the galaxy treats species that resist incorporation. We learned about worlds that fought back and were destroyed as examples to others. We decided that if conflict was inevitable, we would face it from a position of strength. New images appeared, showing human technology that made even advanced galactic systems look primitive. Weapons that could crack planets, ships that dwarfed anything in the Council's fleets, defensive systems that could protect entire solar systems. We offer trade agreements, technology exchanges, and mutual defense treaties, Ambassador Kai continued. But we will not accept client status or imperial protection. Humanity joins the galactic community as an equal partner or not at all. The council speaker struggled to maintain order as delegates erupted in discussion. Some argued for immediate military action against this new threat. Others spoke of the incredible opportunities that advanced human technology could provide. What guarantee do we have that humans will not use their technology aggressively? Demanded the Korth delegate. The same guarantee you give each other, Ambassador Kai replied. Mutual deterrence and the understanding that aggressive war benefits no one. Back on Earth, President Doe addressed both his world and the galaxy from the hidden command center that had coordinated humanity's defense. Around him, the same officers who had planned the deception now worked to manage its aftermath. My fellow humans and our new galactic neighbors, President Doe began, today marks humanity's true emergence into the wider universe. We have shown that Earth will not be conquered or enslaved, but we extend our hand in friendship to all who would meet us as equals. General Park stood beside the president, watching displays that showed the reaction across human civilization. Cities that had been hidden for decades emerged into sunlight. Orbital installations revealed themselves to the world. Humanity's true population and capabilities became public knowledge for the first time. The deception is officially ended, General Park announced to his staff. All classified installations may now operate openly. Dr. Kaio worked at his station, monitoring communications from across the galaxy. The response is exactly as we predicted, he reported. 3 species have already requested trade negotiations. 5 others want technology sharing agreements. The Galactic Council is scheduling emergency sessions to revise their political structure. In the depths of Earth's most secret research facilities, teams led by scientist Lee and weapons designer Jay began preparing technologies for potential trade agreements. Innovations that had been developed in isolation could now benefit galactic civilization. We're receiving requests for everything from medical technology to agricultural improvements, scientist Lee reported to Director Su. The galaxy is more interested in our peaceful applications than our weapons. Good, Director Su replied. That was always our hope. Strategic analyst Hui presented his final assessment to the human leadership. Based on current galactic reactions, we project that no major power will attempt military action against Earth. The cost is too high and the potential benefits of cooperation are too great. What about smaller conflicts? President Du asked. Some border disputes may escalate as powers try to position themselves relative to our emergence, Hui admitted. But no direct threats to Earth are anticipated. Ambassador Kai concluded her address to the Galactic Council with an invitation that would reshape interstellar politics. The Human Federation invites all peaceful civilizations to send diplomatic missions to Earth. We are prepared to share technologies that could benefit everyone, from medical advances to energy systems to agricultural improvements. And if we refuse? Asked one delegate. Then you refuse, Ambassador Kai replied simply. Humanity will continue to develop and explore on our own. But we believe cooperation serves everyone's interests better than isolation. As the human ship departed the Council station, representatives from dozens of species were already preparing diplomatic missions to Earth. The galaxy had gained a new major power, but more importantly, it had gained a species that offered partnership, instead of domination. On Earth, construction began on humanity's first official interstellar shipyards. No longer hidden beneath the surface or concealed on the moon's far side, these facilities would build ships designed for exploration and trade rather than just defense. The species that had once planned Earth's conquest now worked alongside humans to explore new frontiers and face threats that no single civilization could handle alone. Humanity had emerged from the shadows not as conquerors, but as the partners the galaxy had never known it needed.